Well, guys, I'm back from the crazy membership selling blitz I had to do for my race in Calgary Signal Hill here. I get to rest easy, and you guys get to hear me not talk about it as much because I can't sell memberships anymore, so it doesn't really matter. So let's just get into the news today and talk about Justin Trudeau trying to gaslight Canadians into thinking our terrible economy is actually great. I don't even know why he brings up the economy. Probably best to just shut up about it, pretend he doesn't even know what an economy is like he used to. But now the liberals are rolling out videos like this, trying to make Justin Trudeau seem relatable. I always hate whenever they like do the behind the scenes footage of like them miking up Justin Trudeau. Like this is like we're gonna clear away all of the polish. We're just gonna show you Justin Trudeau in his element. I hate it so much. But look at this.
We're actually the third largest economy in the world after the US and Germany with a AAA rating. And the IMF just announced that its projections for 2025 has Canada as the top growth rate in the G7. Our macro situation is really, really good.
I'm going to suggest to you guys that Justin Trudeau here might be lying. We are not the top growth country in the G7, only by the mere fact that we bring in 500,000 new permanent residents per year plus temporary foreign workers and students. That's how we get somewhat of high growth. But if you look at our per capita income growth for Canadians, it's horrific. It's been, we literally in Alberta, a report just came out saying that Albertans right now per capita are making the same amount of money they were back in 2004. And it's not because the economy had stagnated since 2004 and we hadn't seen growth in 10 years. No, no, no. We saw growth. By 2015, when Harper's last year in office was at hand, we were making way more money than we were in 2004. And somehow another 9 years after that, Trudeau has put us in the floor. And now we are somehow making less money than we were more than 2 decades ago. That is absolutely insane. And the idea like, oh, we're actually the third biggest economy behind the US and Germany. Yeah, sure, dude. Sure. I guess that might be like per capita economic growth past a certain amount of population. We're not. Like China, India are bigger economies than us. And if we go by per capita, obviously places like Luxembourg and the UK and France probably have still higher GDP per capitas than Canada does. But the Trudeau is basically trying to trick people into thinking everything's actually super fine and dandy because we found this fringe statistic that makes our GDP look somewhat good. This is why people are emigrating from the country, Canadian citizens, while we're importing more new people. It's not because we're such a great guns economy that people just can't handle it and they're moving to the US. It's because the US economy is far better.
But then the question becomes, what do we do with that best fiscal position in the world right now?
What do we do with all this massive prosperity that Justin Trudeau created? I don't even know what to do with all the millions I have. Guys, apparently we're all also millionaires because of the carbon tax rebate. It's making us so much money. You and we're all millionaires right now. It's so presumptuous that he's just sitting there in this interview where these two guys, like I like how they're like filming it so you can see the wall of brick behind them. It's so pretentious. I hate pretentious political communication stuff like this, where it's like, oh, they're just two guys sitting down, not wearing their jackets, sleeves rolled up. You can see the bricks behind us. It's just sad. But it's so presumptuous. He's just saying, wow, what are we going to do with all this wealth we have being in the best financial position in the world? We're not. We're not.
We say, okay, we're going to pay down some of our debt and make it even better than already the best, or we're going to take that money and we're going to invest it in things that are going to help Canadians in this difficult time. Things like China.
Sorry, what is he even saying there?
Things that are going to help Canadians and make it even better than already the best. Or we say, okay, we're going to pay down some of our debt and make it even better than already the best. Or we're going to take that money and we're going to invest it in things that are going to help Canadians in this difficult time.
See, this is what I'm so confused by in this video. He's saying like he's portraying paying down the debt as a bad thing. And they've actually been making a lot of noise about the fact that, oh, hey, we reduced our debt to GDP per capita or whatever, or our deficit per like to GDP is way down. It's like, yeah, because you're taxing people way more. But the idea is like, we're already the best. So we don't even have to worry about the financial health of the country. We're just going to tax high income earners even more to hand out their wealth to people in these bloated programs that doesn't help anyone because they're inefficient, they don't get people good quality service, and they cost the taxpayer way too much money to deliver.
Things like childcare, things like dental care for seniors, things like drawing in Volkswagen and Stellantis and Honda and Northvolt and E1 Moly and Dow.
Drawing in, which equals massive taxpayer subsidies.
And building those jobs for future generations. This is the decision that we've taken.
So this is what we call in trade gaslighting. He is merely simply just saying things, hoping that if he repeats it enough, and there's enough people in the legacy media saying that, what's disinformation to say that we're not the fastest GDP growth country on the planet or whatever, that you're somehow just buying into misinformation, or I guess in the G7. That's basically Frank Graves' ECOS poll on disinformation. One of his things gauging whether or not you believe in disinformation was saying if you don't believe that Canada's the fastest growing economy in the G7, that's considered disinformation. And this is what Justin Trudeau is basically going on. The idea is he'll just say that we're the fastest growing in the G7, even though it's artificial growth. It's merely because if you stick warm bodies in a geography, that means that GDP in that geography went up because each individual has some amount of money on them that they add to the economy, but it doesn't mean you're adding financial health to the economy. We don't want to be China. We don't want to be India. We don't want to be Bangladesh or Cambodia or Vietnam, where, yes, they have growing economies, maybe even faster growing economies in terms of GDP, but do we want just simply raw, just bloated growth based a lot on government finance, like government spending? Or do we want an economy where productivity is going up and that's why the GDP is going up? They just released their April jobs report, and I think it was like 190,000 jobs were created. It might have been about 200,000. But when you actually look at it, it was like more than half of them were people just working part-time jobs. And a lot of those, I guarantee, are second and third jobs for people who can't find full employment elsewhere. And then on top of that, I think it was 90,000 were part-time. And then it was like another 80,000 or 60,000 were public sector jobs. It's just fake jobs. And even the private sector jobs aren't real jobs, because the Honda deal that the Liberals and Doug Ford, a fake conservative in Ontario, are making is that they're just handing on to, like Honda and these other EV companies money so that they'll start a factory in Canada. It's a fake job, but that gets counted as a private sector job, even though 2/3 of that job or 1/3 of that job is subsidized by taxpayers. It's a factory that would have been built anywhere else but Canada, unless the government pitched in billions of dollars to them. So because we gave these companies billions, now suddenly they'll show up and we pretend that we've just created growth, even though by definition, if it wasn't efficient to make the job, like to put the job here in the first place, giving taxpayer money to it just means that we are basically losing money for this job to be created. No productivity is being made if you're having to literally pay the company to create the job in the first place. People aren't even buying EVs. You can barely drive EVs in most parts of Canada. Alberta, like, it's a bit of a problem when I drive down the road when it's super cold outside, and either you just can notice that there's like no EVs on the road when usually you notice a few in the summer, or they're on the side of the road dead because it got way too cold to be able to start up the engine again, because an electric car gets its power drained really fast in the winter. Regardless, ugh, yeah, this is just gaslighting. Trudeau is basically trying to happy talk his way through the shadow of the dark valley that he is in, the shadow of the valley he is in. It's not going to work. His polling numbers suck. I just saw a report come out from the National Post that both the NDP and the Liberals' combined vote is at the lowest stage it's ever been in more than 50 years. So in 50 years, if you combine their two votes, the combined vote has never been as low in the polling as it currently is now. Great to see. And that's pretty much it for me, guys, today. So you can donate to the TNT Legal Fund in the description below. It's the Give, Send, Go link. Go check that out. Donate to us, and it helps us deal with the lawsuit we're currently in with a Chinese billionaire developer suing us over complete nonsense. $29,000 later, we're still fighting him in court. So if you donate anything to that, it really helps us out. And of course, I'm running in Calgary Signal Hill for the Conservative nomination, but only people who already have Conservative memberships can vote for me. I know a lot of you actually who watch the show in my area signed up. Really nice that you guys did that. The amount of support we got was quite overwhelming. And I remember, I think I heard a couple of the other candidates' campaigns are really mad at us because they assumed that I'm a 24-year-old kid, so obviously I'm going to lose. And now, because we actually had good membership sales, they're like kind of ticked at us because they assumed that I was just going to be some also-ran they wouldn't have to worry about. But hopefully they do have to worry about me. Anyways, should be it for me today, guys. I have to go get a haircut.